Hey, this is WhyBeAre with BeamNG.drive, and today we're going to be taking a look at a mod called the Ministock. And with this vehicle, we have a lot of options that all perform roughly the same, but very minor differences between them. So instead of starting at default like I normally would, we're going to start at 09G, which has a much cooler looking paint job. So Ministock cars are used in a race series that takes place in New Zealand, and the really interesting thing about these cars is just how small they actually are. You don't realize how small they are unless you have a scale of reference though. So to get a scale of reference, let's go ahead and grab an Ibishu Pigeon, which is the smallest stock vehicle in the game. Ooh, that's not supposed to happen. Don't get crushed. Bring it over here next to the Ministock, make it fresh and clean, and then bring it right next to the Ministock. So you can see from above, the Pigeon is a little bit longer than the Ministock, but from behind, you can see the Ministock is a little bit wider. So overall, it has very similar dimensions to the Pigeon, but unlike the Pigeon, this car was designed for racing. More specifically, it was designed for racing on dirt ovals. Now, I'm not on a dirt oval right now, as you can tell. We are instead on a dirt track that has some bumps and jumps, and this vehicle is perfectly capable of driving through here, and it's a lot more interesting to watch a racetrack like this compared to a dirt oval. The main thing we need to watch out for are the jumps, because this car does not have a lot of suspension travel and it has a pretty stiff suspension. So when you go over those jumps, it can be a little bit bouncy and hard to control, which makes sense. It's designed for ovals. Even dirt ovals are relatively smooth surfaces. So now, the hard jump. Can we make it? Yes, we can. And it was actually surprisingly smooth through there. Right here, we're bouncing around a little bit. Again, not designed for this environment, but it's perfectly capable of completing a lap, and I definitely think that was a lot more interesting to watch than a dirt oval. And don't worry about it, we will drive this thing on some dirt ovals later on. Right now, I want to wreck this thing, so I'm just going to try to roll it over onto its side, and I don't think that really did that much damage. I'm sure this thing can continue driving. So let's go ahead and roll it back onto its wheels and keep on going for a little bit more. So for the next crash, let's make it a lot simpler. Rolling the vehicle didn't really damage it, but you know what will? A head-on collision. A head-on collision will damage anything. So that's at about 50 miles per hour. And we got a lot of damage to the front suspension, but the driver's compartment seems like it's perfectly intact. So this is probably a pretty safe vehicle. And ooh, we got a little bit of a roll going on. That was nice. I have no steering at all, so that was purely by luck. And I noticed the little piece on top actually helped it roll back onto its wheels, I think. But now, I want to take this thing to an oval because that is what it's designed for. And thankfully, there is an oval on West Coast, USA. A new track means a new paint job, so we're going to try out the 37A, which in addition to the paint job, it also has a couple of different body panels. For example, the piece covering the engine is a lot smaller on this one. Now, let's let this vehicle shine at what it was designed for. We're gonna drive the oval. And being honest with you guys, not as entertaining as the previous lap we just did, because nothing's gonna go wrong. There's no threat of collision, because I would have to be a complete fool to somehow crash going through here, because we don't even need to brake. I can just kind of power slide through the corners and we don't come close to the walls. This is a really big oval, maybe a little bit too big for this vehicle, but let's make full use of the oval. We're gonna get nice and close to the wall with minimum slide amounts, and that was nice and clean. And also, there is a figure 8 in the inside that you could try to drive on. We'll drive straight through the figure 8, be disappointed there was no crash in the middle, so add a crash at the end. 8 times slow-mo, this is about 60 miles per hour, so a little bit faster than the previous one. Oh, it got smaller and cuter. So front suspension completely ruined, but once again, driver compartment seems pretty intact. So again, I would say a very safe vehicle for its design purpose. Now, I would love to race the AI around this oval. One big problem, the AI refuses to acknowledge the existence of the oval. So I tell him to go in a random direction, and apparently random means he drives straight through the center and straight into the wall on the other side. The AI just has no idea what's going on in this situation. They don't even realize there's a wall there. So instead of modifying the map to make it where the AI can recognize the road, I got a better idea. There's a more interesting road just a few feet away. So we're going to take the car back over there and race the AI there. But to make things a little bit more interesting, I'm going to add a bunch of AI cars, and I'll be back once all of them have been added. Okay, we now have a bunch of AI cars, and I want you to look very closely at them because there are a lot of minor differences between all of the vehicles. Because this mod has 20 configurations, 14 liveries, 3 frames, 3 bodies, 6 hoods, 2 wings, 4 fenders, 2 front panels, 2 different rear suspension options, and then 5 different engine options. So with all these different cars I spawned up, you should see a good variety of the parts and a good variety of the different liveries. I made sure everyone was a different vehicle to give you as much variety as I possibly could. So there are all the vehicles, and then here's my vehicle that's actually different than the one I was using before. I know, they're both orange, it's hard to tell. Anyways, I'm going to tell the AI to go in a random direction, and now we have some fun. Assuming the AI actually works. I'm pretty sure they will only drive in one direction on a track like this because this is an asymmetrical track with the jump. Okay, he could not make the jump. That's bad. I'm assuming he couldn't make the jump just because he didn't have enough room to get up to speed. But it looks like the AI is at least smart enough to only drive in the correct direction, because if you try to drive from the other direction, the jump is even harder, and I don't think this car can easily make the jump that way. Also, it's not really a race when the AI is coming directly at you. A race is like this, where you're trying to overtake the AI. Oh my goodness, AI. He like charged to the left to block me, and I was flying through the air. There was nothing I could do. That is not how we wanted to pass these guys. Oh no! Oh no! I'm assuming you guys saw that. So, none of the AI is able to make the jump. As you see, that guy failed as well. So instead of making the jump, we just have a pile of cars here. That's not at all what I was looking for here, unfortunately. So I have a different plan we could try to use. Instead of using the random button, we're going to use the traffic button. That way, when the AI crashes, they'll just reset themselves. Probably. I don't know exactly if this is going to work the way I expect it to, but I'm also going to add the traffic app. I'm going to increase the speed as high as it goes, and then we click the reset button to get it all started. So now, the AI should be driving as fast as they can through this section, and when they crash, they'll just reset themselves, so this should feel like a race. And actually, this is something I should try on an actual racetrack and see if it feels good or not. Alright, well, one of them has crashed there. The question is, will all of them crash there, or will they keep respawning like I expect, and we'll actually have what feels like a race? Even though, as you can see, they are much slower than me still, even with me maxing out their speed limit. It does feel like a race because I have to maneuver around them. It just feels like I'm a racing god who is way faster than everyone else around me, which obviously isn't true, but that's what it feels like as we do an over-the-air overtake. That was beautiful. I actually flew over them for a second there. And look in there, beautiful. There's one car there that crashed. The rest of them are still going clean. I am more than okay with that. And that dude over there was really bouncing around. So yeah, this actually feels really, really nice driving through here. And I am loving it, except what is this guy doing? Woo, he's trying to hit me. That's what he's doing. He is a very, very reckless driver. I just barely made it through there. We'll be doing the same thing later on an oval where the AI can actually drive. And one thing that's kind of weird I noticed is I couldn't find an oval, stock or modded, that would just have the AI racing you. In fact, there are very few dirt ovals, period. Derby Arenas does have a dirt oval, but it's not set up for racing. You just have to do the traffic mode again, so it's going to be very easy to pass them. But that is for later. Right now, I want to crash into them. So you can hit them in the front and rear as much as you want. You're not going to have any issues like getting stuck together, but those two, how they crash like that side by side, you can get stuck like that. And that's really what you want to avoid because it's kind of annoying. Let's see if I can initiate that. There you go. That's a little bit of what I was talking about. Like, when I hit them there, I got stuck in their side and they just kind of pulled me along for the ride. There wasn't anything I could have done after impact to save myself. And oh yeah, I'm in the meeting of people who can't drive fast enough for jumps now. How you guys doing? A great meeting today, isn't it? Yep, we're just going to drive up the hill and do absolutely nothing. Oh, I think we got stuck with this guy. Yeah, we're kind of stuck together there, but I want to show you what it looks like when it happens when we're actually driving. All I need to do is catch up to the AI, any one of the AIs who are driving much slower than me, And then we'll try sideswiping them and you'll see if we can get stuck together or not. Alright, there's the first target. And I'm just going to try to sideswipe into him just a little bit there. Kind of like that. And that's what I was talking about. Now we are stuck together. Can I drive out of this, though? Maybe eventually. Like, if I drive back and forth enough, we might be able to unstuck. But you see how we're just kind of interlocked together. And there's nothing you can really do. That's why when you're passing them, you really want to give them some room. Even though you wouldn't think you would need to, considering we have the bumpers that extend out past the wheels and such. But you do need to give it some room. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and reset this. We'll remove all of the AI with the delete button. And then, let's take a look at one of the different versions of this vehicle. So all these ones, I believe, are all set up for dirt racing. But down here, we have a couple of different ones. For example, we have the 1.9 liter asphalt with limited slip differential. So this one's made to drive on asphalt, not dirt roads. So let's get out of here and go over to here. I think this is kind of a good area for it. This feels like it was a car that was built more for an autocross track than a full-blown track. And I think there's two big reasons I feel like that. Number one is just the overall dimensions of the vehicle are so small, it feels small on a full-size racetrack. It even feels kind of small here, driving around just a basic parking lot autocross type thing. And then also, it has good acceleration up to a point. It doesn't have a lot of top speed to it. So when you get to a full-blown racetrack, you always feel like you have to floor a ton, and the straightaways feel a little bit longer than they should because of that. So we've just about completed a full lap of this place, I think. And just because we can, let's go ahead and take this over to the full-blown racetrack so we can try it out there. We can drive it there, no problem. It just feels like it's better at doing autocross style driving. So trying to get up to as much speed as we can off of this straightaway. Only gonna reach about 85 miles per hour. That's, again, one of the two biggest reasons I feel like it's an autocross vehicle. It gets good acceleration up until about 60 miles per hour, 70 miles per hour. And then once you get to fourth gear, the acceleration drops off just a little bit too much for me. And also, when you're in fourth gear below 70 miles per hour, that is not a happy place for this engine. If you're in 70 or less, you gotta be in third gear. Thankfully, the automatic transmission seems to do a pretty decent job of choosing the correct gear for the situation. There is one minor problem that you'll experience when you go to racetracks like this, where you really gotta hammer on the brakes. Eventually, the brakes will start to fade because they're overheating. I don't know if we'll actually see it because we're gonna be ending this drive pretty soon. So there we go, there we go. Got some brake fade going on. Eventually, it'll be a serious issue. Right now, it's just starting though, so it's not really a big concern. But that's only after doing basically half a lap on a racetrack plus a lap and a half of autocross. So if you want to do multiple laps of a regular racetrack with this thing, you got to get some brake upgrades or something because those brakes are going to fade. Now though, we're going to go to the drag strip and take a look at the drag version of the vehicle. Yeah, this thing has a drag version for some reason. I don't know why, but it does. And it's actually surprisingly good at drag racing. So go ahead and grab it. It is the green version of the vehicle. And it even has its own little wheelie bar attached. It's a, I shouldn't say little wheelie bar. The wheelie bar like doubles the length of the vehicle almost. It's so big. So go ahead and get the AI to race us. They're just going to use another one of these guys for drag racing. I forgot it does that. Yeah, when you spawn up their drag car, it bounces. Although I think mine bounced a little bit too. It just likes to bounce when it's a drag car. That's all it is. I'm not going to spoil how fast this car goes, but I will say it's impressive. Go ahead and guess what kind of time it's going to get, and we'll see if you're right or not. I'll stage up, get ready for the race, and hopefully we can get a good run because it's going to be a little bit tricky with this thing. If you floor it too hard here, you're going to get a wheelie, which is bad. You got to go real gentle on the power till you get to about third gear. Then you can keep flooring it as hard as you want, and it keeps accelerating all the way up to 170-ish miles per hour for a 9.4 second quarter-mile time. That's mighty impressive. And if we wanted to, we can keep flooring it. And keep flooring it. Oh, got a little bit of sliding, and now we're flying. Now, I said earlier, it does great in a collision. In a collision, it speeds it expects to be. These cars never expect it to go 170 miles per hour. If you go that fast, yeah, it's going to get a lot of damage to it. And it's not going to be very safe. Anyways, there's the damage from an almost 200 mile per hour crash. And now, I want to race this thing on an oval. So to do that, we need to change maps. We're going to head over to Derby Arenas. And on Derby Arenas, there's a great oval racetrack we can use right over here. I'm going to do the same setup as last time where I spawn up a bunch of cars and then tell the AI to go into traffic mode, and I'll be back once it's ready to go. Okay, the AI is in traffic mode. Let's see if this works the way I'd expect it to or not. Now this to me feels like a pretty decent size for an oval. Maybe a little bit on the small side, but one fun thing about the size of this is we can floor it 24/7 and we never have to slow down ever. And all we have to do is just turn into the corners and slide to slow down. That's it. No brakes needed. That to me is like super awesome and fun, just to never have to slow down ever. Also, it really makes it easy to drive. I don't have to worry about this is the braking spot. You must brake here. Now you don't even worry about that. I'm gonna turn whenever I feel like. Maybe I'll go on the outside line sometimes, pass them on the outside, pass them on the inside. It doesn't matter. You will notice though the AI does not drive that fast, unfortunately, but they're still here, which gives you something to do. You know, it's a lot more fun when you at least have traffic in the way and the feeling like you're racing than driving all alone. And through here, this is like set up for a figure eight if you wanted to, but I don't think the traffic will do anything for the figure eight setup. I think they will only drive around the outer ring, unfortunately. What we can do, however, is a crash or two. Like that guy right there coming at me. How dare you come at me? Get that. He looked pretty damaged, and I guess I immobilized that dude. I did kind of bump him in the back, and he just freaked out and stopped. You know why we got these big bumpers, right? It's so we can bump and race, my dude. Stop being such a pansy and keep on racing. I bet the other guy I crashed into stopped as well. Yeah, I guess I'll stop too since everybody else is. You pansies. And now, we'll finish things up with a classic. On to Leap of Death. And for Leap of Death, why not use the drag version? I want to go as fast as possible, so the drag version does make sense. Let's see if we can get enough traction to go. Oh yeah, it gets traction, no problem. About 85 miles per hour off of the end of the ramp. Could have even going a little bit faster if I upshifted. I didn't think I was going to need to upshift. So we'll go ahead and do this thing at full speed and see what that looks like. Gonna be falling really fast because this thing really flew. And it's been crumpled, but the driver's compartment's surprisingly intact. Even after those two crashes, driver's compartment surprisingly intact. And it's gonna make it maybe all the way to the bottom just like that. That's it. That thing flies good. And that was with me not shifting into second, which might be the better option. It's hard to know. Like if you had off-road tires that could really get traction, you might be able to use second gear. But I feel like with these tires, first gear is fine. You're not going to need to get second gear. And if you do, you might only get 5-10 miles per hour gain at most. Anyways, this one will use a little bit of slow-mo. I'm thinking like 8 times slow-mo only. That's it. For the actual impacts, all 4 wheels gone. And we are on fire. First time this thing caught on fire. It's done a pretty good job of not catching on fire up until this point. Even doing a nice little spiral as we go to the bottom. This might be 2 hits more, maybe 3 until we get to the bottom. We'll use slow-mo on this one. And at this point, it's wrecked enough where I'm not going to worry about using slow-mo. I will say the driver's compartment has been crushed a decent amount. And any more impacts are going to really ruin it. Yeah, right there. I can't even tell for sure how badly it's been crushed. But the answer is definitely a lot in that kind of situation. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Till next time, it's WhyBeAre. And remember, if you like or dislike this video, I will know. I can tell by watching what the traffic is doing. So do the right thing, and I'll see you next time.